Most Canadians are driving cars they actually can't afford, and the problem is bigger than it looks. Car prices in Canada have increased fast over the last few years, but salaries haven't kept up at the same speed. At the same time, longer loan terms like 6, 7, even 8 years have made expensive cars feel affordable just because the monthly payment looks lower. This creates a dangerous gap between what people earn and what they commit to paying. Many buyers focus only on the monthly number and ignore the total cost. But how do you actually calculate what you can afford? That's where most people get it wrong. There's one rule financial experts use that instantly exposes bad car decisions. It's simple but very powerful. First, you should put at least 20% down in cash, not financed, not rolled over from another loan. Second, your loan term should not go beyond 4 years, which is 48 months. This keeps interest low and
prevents long-term debt. Third, your total car cost, including loan, insurance, fuel, and maintenance, should not exceed 10% of your gross income. This rule forces you to stay within your limits and avoid financial stress. Sounds reasonable until you apply it to real Canadian salaries. Let's start with the number most people fall into. In 2026, the average full-time salary in Canada is around $65,000 to $70,000 per year before tax. But the more important number is the median income, which sits closer to $40,000 to $45,000. That means half of Canadians earn less than that. This already shows a big reality gap because most car prices are rising much faster than these incomes. So while people think they are doing okay financially, their buying power is actually much lower than expected. Now let's apply the rule and see what kind of car this actually allows. This is where expectations break, because when you apply the 10% rule to a $65,000 salary, the numbers become very strict.
10% of that income is about $6,500 per year, which gives you roughly $540 per month for everything related to transportation. But this is not just a car payment. You first have to subtract real costs like insurance, which can take around $180 to $250 per month depending on the province. Then fuel, which can easily be another $120 to $160 per month for a normal commute. After that, maintenance like oil changes, tires, and basic repairs can average around $80 to $100 per month. Once you remove all of this, the money left for the actual car payment becomes very small. And what that final number buys is probably not what you think. With that budget, here's what you can actually buy in today's Canadian car market. If you're following the realistic numbers from a $65,000 salary, your actual monthly car affordability is low enough that it usually pushes you into a very tight price range. In most cases, this means you're looking at older used vehicles, typically in the $10,000 to $18,000 range depending on condition, mileage, and reliability. New cars are almost completely out of reach under this structure unless you break the rule and stretch your budget. This creates a clear mismatch because most people expect to be able to afford $30,000 to $50,000 vehicles, but the math doesn't support that level of spending safely. So how are people still driving $40,000, $60,000 cars? The dealership doesn't sell cars, it sells monthly payments. This is where many buyers get confused, because the focus is shifted away from the real price and onto a number that feels comfortable. Instead of asking what the total cost is, people are asked what monthly payment they can handle. This opens the door to long loan terms like 72, 84, or even 96 months, which spreads the cost over many years to make expensive cars look affordable. But what looks easier every month actually increases the total interest you pay.
The longer the loan, the more money the bank earns and the more you lose over time. This is how payment manipulation works without most buyers realizing it. And this is where most people fall into a financial trap they don't even see. You might already be in debt, even if you just bought your car. This is what happens when the value of your car drops faster than you pay off your loan. New cars lose value quickly, especially in the first few years, while your loan balance reduces much slower if you're on a long-term plan. This creates a situation called being underwater, where you owe more than what the car is actually worth. The problem becomes even worse when you try to trade it in, because the remaining debt doesn't disappear, it gets added into your next loan. So instead of resetting, you start deeper in debt every time you upgrade. And this doesn't just cost you money, it compounds over time. The biggest cost of your car isn't your monthly payment, it's depreciation, and most people completely ignore it. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, its value drops instantly, often by 10% to 20% in the first year alone. Over the next few years, it continues losing value every month, even if nothing is wrong with it. This is why a car that costs $50,000 today might only be worth $30,000 or less after a few years. When you add insurance, fuel, maintenance, and interest, the real yearly cost becomes much higher than what people usually calculate. This is called total cost of ownership, and it shows the true financial pressure of having a car. But the real damage happens when you look at the long term. What your car payment is secretly costing your future is something most people never calculate. Let's take a simple example of $500 to $600 every month, which is common for many car owners in Canada. Instead of spending that money on a car, if you invested it consistently, the long-term difference becomes huge. Over 10 years, it can grow into a significant savings pool, and over 20 to 30 years, it can turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on market returns. The key difference is that a car loses value every year, while investments can grow over time. So while one choice slowly removes money from your life, the other builds wealth in the background. This is the real contrast between spending for lifestyle and building financial freedom. So what should you actually do instead?
Even at $100,000 per year? The answer might surprise you. When you apply the same 24/10 rule, the limits still exist, just at a slightly higher level. After accounting for taxes, insurance, fuel, and maintenance, the realistic budget for a responsible car payment is still much lower than what most people expect. Even with a six-figure salary, the safe car price range usually stays far below luxury expectations, often around practical mid-range vehicles rather than premium brands. This breaks the illusion that a higher salary automatically means you can afford any car you want. In reality, income increases do not fully keep up with rising vehicle prices and long-term loan costs. So if even high earners are limited, what's the smart move? Here's how financially smart people approach cars. Instead of buying brand new, they usually choose a used vehicle that is 2 to 5 years old because most of the heavy depreciation has already happened. They also avoid long loans and try to keep financing as short as possible, ideally within 3 to 4 years, so they don't stay in debt for too long. Another key rule is sticking to a clear income-based limit so the car never controls their budget or lifestyle. Most importantly, they focus on function, reliability, and low running costs instead of status or brand image. This keeps their long-term finances stable and stress-free. And this one mindset shift changes everything. A car is not a reward, it's a tool. The moment you start treating it like a status symbol, your financial decisions become emotional instead of logical. Smart buyers focus on long-term stability, not short-term image. They understand that every dollar spent on unnecessary car upgrades is a dollar taken away from future wealth and freedom. If you look at the full picture, the rules stay simple. Control your budget, avoid long debt, and buy based on need, not pressure. If this breakdown helped you understand car affordability better in Canada, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below.